Okay. We should be live. And just to be sure, because I don't want everything getting messed up like yesterday, which I'm gonna talk about in a second. We're gonna double check right now. Everything is happening. Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, we have audio. We have the screen up. Everything looks right. Excellent. Great. Love it. Okay, we're gonna put this there. Not in my pocket. Ooh. It's a little piano for you. Okay. Hello. Welcome. This is actual episode 2 now of the music production live stream series that we have just begun. Our journey, ladies and gentlemen, has just begun. And so I'm thinking I'll give it a few minutes for people to start coming in, and then we will get going. Yeah. I am actually going to reach out to a couple people while we're waiting here. So here, I'm going to do this. And now just to double check, because I just hit that, I'm going to make sure that the feed came back to me, because now I'm really paranoid. We're waiting here. So here, I'm going to do this. And now just to double check. Okay, cool. I just checked it on my phone to make sure. Sorry, I'm still very new to this, everybody. We're gonna get the flow going though eventually. But yeah, I will be right back because I'm gonna hit a few people up to check out the live stream, and then we're gonna get started very, very soon. Okay, and we are back. Welcome everybody. I know we'll probably have people start pouring in soon, but I'm gonna get started right now because we have no time to waste, especially after yesterday's spiel, which I'm gonna give you guys right now. Which basically what happened yesterday was I left it on the starting soon title screen, and for whatever reason the live feed did not switch over to my other scene, which has the camera and my Ableton screen for you guys. So basically yesterday never happened. At least on the video. Obviously all my progress for the song is still here and it's all saved. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna run through it right now because we made some changes yesterday. We basically started laying out the foundation for the song, the intro and the first verse, which I shall play for you right now. So that's what we did. Actually, I did add one thing today, but I mean, I'm diving through all this right now anyways for what we did for this intro, adding in the vocals, the bass, this cool little bass pluck, which I feel like might need to be turned up a little bit. Let's take another listen. Okay, so let me go through everything that I did yesterday. And what we actually started with adding first was this pluck bass. And I'll give you a quick tour of this pluck bass and how we made it. Set a loop real quick. And let's get to it. So, this pluck bass, it's basically a saw wave, but it's a different kind with just a little more curvature to it. And all I did was, this is how it originally sounded, so I brought it down an octave, so it's obviously more of a bass sound. And then what I did from there was just give a little detuning at like 0.06 without any detuning on it. This is what it would sound like. So all I did was just increase it to there. And then the unison, basically what it does is it creates, like it says right here, it creates multiple voices for an oscillator. So we're hearing duplicates of the same sound that are just slightly off from each other, create kind of this group of them that you're hearing all at the same time. They have their own individual spaces in the scene. And then we use this bend just to kind of help fatten up that sound a little bit. And then the hyperdimension, without it, it sounds very flat and just kind of super simple. But what the hyper does that I really like is it creates this kind of room environment that it's in. Like it almost sounds like it's in this metal room, which I really dig. And then distortion just kind of gives it a little more edge, and then we use the EQ to just kind of brighten it up a little bit so it has a little more energy and life to it. And then we simply just moved over that same bass pattern to our actual sub bass so that this bass pluck is sounding fatter than it actually is. And the next thing that we did was we added this pad right here. All it's doing is creating a little more texture, a little more environment, which is I always find very necessary in my songs. You know, just to have something that kind of adds a cool atmosphere, a little weird trippiness to it. And then the next thing that we added were these vocals. Now it's cool, that little probably sounds horrible, but I'm still gonna sing it for you anyway, so you know what I'm talking about. This part. What we did was we actually took the very beginning part right here, and then all we did was pitch it up an octave, and it sounds really freaking cool. And I kept it in Complex Pro because Ableton actually has many different ways that you can go about warping and pitching things, and it will create different types of artifacts and sounds when you do. So let's say if I just put it on normal complex, it would sound like this, which is a little more chipmunky, but the Complex Pro tends to keep a lot of the tonality and the overall feel of the sound, in this case the vocal, that it originally had. So I kept it on Complex Pro because it has a more natural sound to it. It's like it actually sounds like her singing an octave higher instead of a chipmunk singing an octave higher, you know? And then all that we did was we added this guy to go with them, which is a reverse vocal. And then I made sure that we have this little pause of time right here in this blank area. That way there's just a creeping moment for the lead vocal to kick in, you know? And I find that very important because I always like making cool transitions, and I think little pauses in time allow the brain to pause for a second and readjust and prepare for something new to kick in. And I always find that very interesting and fun to do. So we have this, and then pause, and then we go into our vocal. And then let's talk about the vocal, because this is our lead vocal here. So what's nice is that but lots of butts. Let me drag this guy over here for you. This was a splice vocal that I think really fits perfectly for this song, for the chord progression, for the overall feel that I'm going for. You know, I want something kind of moody, something kind of eerie and cool and vibey and mysterious. I don't know. It's always a vibe that I really dig with my stuff that you probably find in a lot of my songs. So we found the vocal on here, and if you notice, even in the text of the file right here, it says it's in 140 BPM, and we are operating at 150 BPM. So how do we make this fit our tempo? Well, it's pretty simple. Whenever you drag something in that's at a different tempo and you want to match it to your tempo, all you have to do in Ableton is you press the warp button, make it nice and highlighted. In this case, it's going to be yellow for me. And then you simply change it to the original tempo. And then it's going to make sure that, you know, it's taking the original tempo information and then translating it to your current tempo information so that it's essentially locking to your tempo. And a good way to make sure that you keep a lot of the overall sound from the original, especially with vocals, is to use Complex Pro, which is what I'm using right here. Complex, you're going to get more artifacts, and especially if you do pitching up and down with the steps here, which all these are half steps in time. So think of it like if you're looking at a piano, and let's say the note that they're singing, or the key that they're singing, is in C, but we're working in D sharp. D sharp would be 3 half steps up from C. So I would have to just move it 1, 2, 3. And now it's on that note instead, in that key. But because this is in B flat minor, and we're working in B flat minor, it worked perfectly. I didn't have to do that, which is great. So I brought that in. And then on top of this, we also brought in these harmony background vocals to go with our lead vocal. Now I'll start from the very beginning, which are the ones that don't have any pitch effects or anything. So this one is panned hard left. This one is also the same sound. We didn't do any pitch effects or anything, but it's panned hard right. And you might barely be able to notice, but they are actually the time that they start at is a little bit different. You have to really zoom in to see it. When you start to look at the waveforms, you can notice it. Like this guy, we notice this transient right here, but if we come down here, it's starting over here for this guy. So why would we change the timing on them? Well, it creates a more natural grouping effect. Whenever you hear a choir sing, it's nearly impossible for everyone to sing exactly at unison at the exact same timing, like down to the milliseconds. It's just not natural. It just doesn't usually happen that way. So when you hear them together, you kind of hear two separate voices. Because if they were perfectly lined up, not only would a weird phasing thing happen, but it would just sound like literally the same thing. And you can hear those little timing differences on the left and right side, which is really cool. And so then what we did was we made this guy, which is our chipmunk, which is great because I was just talking about the complex versus complex pro. In this case, we stuck with just complex, and I did an octave higher. We got Alvin's girlfriend singing that one. And then on the opposite side, we did an octave down. So we got that cool low female vocal. And this has become really popular lately in EDM and pop music for background vocals. So now with these two together, you just have different octaves going on now, which creates more variety for the background vocals. And so now with all them together, now we've created this whole group from a single wave file, which is awesome. Something great that we can do. And now all of them together. Following the waves of your gold, but I don't wanna wait to hold you. We're always making sure too that our lead vocal is always on top of harmony vocals, the background vocals, when it comes to volume, amplitude, whatever you want to call it. And so then last but not least, we didn't do a whole lot else. Another thing that we did was we brought in new drums, which sound like this. Very exciting, I know. But alongside with this bass, this is a very classic kind of like 90s or 80s feeling, that kind of thing. It's keeping it simple, you know, because I don't want the main focus to be on the drums or the bass line. They can stay very simple. This is the moment for the lead vocal to kick in, to take over, to be the star of the show. And then last but not least, we added in what I call the noise chords, which are these guys. They may not sound very pleasant on their own, but in the context of the song, check this out.
to hold you. Fire in the waves of your gold. But I don't wanna wait to hold you.
And that's basically a recap of everything we did yesterday. It may not seem like much, but trust me, it has brought the song to a way better place than it originally was. And what I mean by that is that now we actually have something to work with, because we have a tone, we have a voice to the song, we have an overall emotion, a feeling to it. And so now our question is, how do we go from this to this? Which I'm still very happy with, which is awesome. I'm really digging that drop. I'm very happy with it, which is very rare, because I always push myself, I think, the hardest on the drops, which is a good thing, because I think that, you know, the drop, that's the big moment. That's where I'm supposed to stand out as an artist and do something different and creative and cool. And I'm digging that, because it's got a cool melody. It still fits the tone of the song, which is, of course, the most important thing. So now today, what we're going to do is we are going to make essentially a bridge and build up to lead into this, because we have all this empty space here. We got to fill it in. We need to bridge the gap here, and connect everything. And I already have a couple ideas on how we can do that. So let's get started on some of those. First one is loading up Contact, and then using one of my favorite tools probably ever from Contact. I just used it actually in tonight, which a lot of people are liking. I'm very, very happy. And let's try this one. I'm very happy that people are enjoying tonight. That was a really, really fun project to work on. Absolutely. Without a doubt. So, what is Damage? It is basically a epic, intense, Mad Max kind of sounding orchestral drums player. So, and it has all sorts of loops and samples that we can use. For example, ooh. I like the feel of that for sure. No. I'm feeling that one. I am actually loving that so much. It's got a lot of excitement to it, a lot of character. which is fantastic. And we're going to bring the velocity up all the way. And then we're just going to match where the volume needs to be.
To hold you. To hold you.
And what's great about using these is that I can still add in my drum samples to layer on top of it to give it just a little more edge, a little more bass and boominess to it, you know. So like, for example, I'm gonna bring in this kick every time it hits in this damage loop. Orchestral drums. That is my short name for it. Just gonna do that right now. This isn't really important, but it's something important to me. Color coding. Just getting familiar with color coding all your different sections of a song really helps with organization, and it really helps with my workflow. It's something I recommend to anyone, no matter how new or experienced you are with music production. Always know, just have like a color in mind for any group. Bass, because it's a low frequency type deal, my mind just goes to purple because that's like a low color for me. Don't ask me why, because it's dark, and I think it's because, you know, it's a dark color and fits dark tones. Drums, red is my favorite color, and drums are my favorite thing about music. It just really changes everything for a song, I think. So, and it has a lot of energy. It's kind of like the heartbeat, and I think because it's a heartbeat, like, you know, heart, blood, red, I have all these little shortcuts in my brain that lead me to why certain things are colored the way they are. Other explanations I can't really explain that well. They're just the colors that I chose, you know. But now we need to figure out a more upbeat. Something to go into a build. That can definitely work. That's a straight up drum and bass. That's also cool. Ooh. Okay. C sharp right there. Yeah. Yep, that's the one. So what I'm gonna do here now is same deal. We're gonna take a listen though to how this transitions. And then I'm gonna do something that I basically did in tonight, which is this. Now we're gonna go ta 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 ta. Yeah. Ta 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 ta. Drop the bass, you know, Skrillex. And then machine gun mode. Obviously that's not very pretty, not smooth, but this is where all the other sounds that we typically do are going to come into play.
To hold you. To hold you.
And then what I'm noticing is that we're just doubling when the kick hits right here. And then this is where it's gonna get crazy. And this was, again, another trick that I did in tonight that translated really well. So I'm gonna do it again because it's just drums, you know? Oh, I started that way too early. Oopsie. Beautiful. Okay.
Battle in the waves of your gold. But I don't wanna wait to hold you. Battle in the waves of your gold. But I don't wanna wait to hold you.
All right.
Battle in the waves of your gold. But I don't wanna wait to hold you. Battle in the waves of your gold. But I don't wanna wait to hold you.
Let's see if there is another vocal from this pack that matches the tone, the song, and that we can just simply blend in to this build up.
Lost in the dust, I can feel. Hold me tight. Don't wanna fight. Don't wanna. I can feel nothing I could do. Don't wanna wake up. I don't wanna wake up. Wanna wake up. Don't wanna wake up. Don't wanna wake up. Don't wanna wake up. Wanna wake up. Don't wanna wake up.
Ooh, hold on. F, G. That's, you know what? Let's do it. Let's give it a try. Why not? What's the harm in trying, right? Famous last words. Okay, so if it's an F, that means we need to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps. Theoretically. Give that a try.
Wanna wake up, 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 wanna wake up.
Ooh, yeah, we need a cool like hook, little wanna wake up, like that kind of thing that transitions into the build.
Don't wanna wake up, don't wanna wake up, wanna wake up. No, we don't ever stop. Lost in the dust. Down, 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 crashing down.
Any other don't wanna wake up?
Down, 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 crashing down. Down. Don't wanna. Following away. Don't wanna. In the night.
Let's see.
Another day. This fear I can follow in the way. Life is. Don't wanna.
Ooh.
Don't wanna. Life is lost. Don't wanna.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, we could totally use that. And how would we use that, Xander? You might be asking. Oh, I'll tell you. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Oh, will I tell you? What is that the same tempo? It should be. Yes. So once again, we're going to warp it, match our tempo, bring it up 5, and we're gonna do something super cool right here. Theoretically, that's where it starts, right? That's a little too late in the timing. Let's see. Just start like right there. No, I'm not feeling it. So another thing we can do is just don't wanna wake up. So what I'm going to do here is duplicate, and then I'm going to make an entirely new, no, God, not MIDI. Oopsies. Stinky. I'm going to do this. That way that end can still happen. But I want to do a cool, I guess I could have kept that MIDI now that I think about it, because I'm going to do a vocoder thing that just really jacks it up. But I guess first we can try this. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to actually consolidate that, so now I don't have to worry about the 5-step thing. And I'm going to try out what a -12 would sound like. Oh, it's in beats. Now let's do the Complex Pro. That actually sounds really cool. Nah, I'm going to stick to my original plan, which is probably going to sound better anyways, which is using vocal synth. We'll probably end up using the talk box, but we can stick with the vocoder for now. We're going to change it to MIDI mode. And what we're doing here is with MIDI mode, what I'm doing is outputting this guy. No, just kidding. We're going to use, hang on, vocoder MIDI. We are going to output to the vocoder box. Yeah. So what we do is we output the MIDI to the vocoder box, and now when this plays, that sounds. Ooh. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Let's take, now what I always want to do is just take a listen from the top and see how all this flows together. That's cool. I was gonna say tight and cool at the same time. I don't wanna wait to hold you. Wanna wake up, 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 wanna wake up. Yeah. I don't wanna wait to hold you. Wanna wake up, wanna wake up, wanna we'll figure out if we want to bring the vocal back into the build-up, but I feel like the build-up, let's just focus on sound effects and cool stuff that leads into it. I mean, we can even tease what the drop is going to be by like bringing this guy. And a really easy way to tease this incoming melody is we're going to hear it, but we're going to do a low pass filter. So basically, except I'm also going to change the automation that we have on the mute. I'm actually just going to get rid of all that because I want to hear the reverb and delays right here. I mean, we could just do something like that, but I feel like we might do a different teaser or hook, whatever you want to call it, right before the drop. But I definitely feel like we should do that. Oh, wait, I have an idea. And then right there, because we probably will bring in another sound at that spot. Yarn. What's up? How's it going? Yo, homie. Can you make some remix Trap Nation style? I mean, I could do a remix of music for you if you want. But for this live stream, we are producing a brand new song. But yeah, if you ever want me to do a remix for you, go ahead and send me a song my way. You can just hit me up on Instagram or Snapchat and we can go from there. Yeah. But anyways, let's get back to hold you. Wanna wake up, 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 wanna wake up. Battle in the waves of your cold, but I don't wanna wait to hold you. Wanna wake up, 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 wanna wake up. I don't wanna wait to hold you. Wanna wake up, 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 wanna wake up. Battle in the waves of your cold, but I don't wanna wait to hold you. Wanna wake up, 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 wanna wake up. Cool. I'll probably come up with some transitions right there because I feel like it still needs a better flow into the
I don't wanna wait to hold you. Wanna wake up.
There are different ways we can do this. We can do another short
I don't wanna wait to hold you. Wanna wake up, wanna wake up, wanna wake up, wanna wake up. Battle in the waves of your cold, but I don't wanna wait to hold you. Wanna wake
what to do. Cashmere, one of my favorite producers ever, has a fantastic group of sweeps. That would be really cool. Let's give that a try. Actually, let's put this right above our reverse Fox. Let's bring this down here. Yeah. That's good. So what I'm going to do now is just transition effects. You don't really notice them that much. Oh, that's cool too, though. I might try that. Transitions are absolutely fantastic for just, I don't know, especially sweeps are great for transitions, just so it's like a mental cue that, hey, something new is coming up.
To hold you. When I wake up. To hold you. When I wake up. To hold you. When I wake up.
So I'm digging that one, but maybe we'll also blend it with this guy. Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be very, very cool. Also, okay, that's not even being warped. This one is though, so we're gonna put it to Complex Pro. And
To hold you. When I wake up. I don't wanna wait to hold you. When I wake up. When I wake up. When I wake up. I don't wanna wait to hold you. When I wake up. I don't wanna
check our levels real quick.
wait to hold you. When I
Okay,
wake up.
cool. And then we can add in one more, I'm thinking. And I want like an orchestral sounding one. Let's go. Drums, effects. We'll scroll down to the early Cashmere stuff. Because he has some really cool stuff. I used to have a tag for just straight up Cashmere over here. 'Cause I have so much of his stuff, you know. Packs. Here we go. Drums. Orchestral. No. That's not really what I'm looking for. It's the only bummer sometimes with all of these samples. It's hard to keep track, honestly. But I know it's a Cashmere thing. So. Because I know he has. No. Something like that.
hold you. Wanna wake up, wanna wake up, hold you. Wanna wake up, wanna wake up.
So yeah, I think that's good. And honestly, we're gonna group all these together because they're just essentially doing the same thing together. Risers slash sweeps. Yeah. So these are great transition tools that I use all the time just to help lead into the next section. Let's take a listen.
Wait to hold you. Wanna wake up, 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 wanna wake up.
And now, you know what? Let's go for a long riser. Since we're on this. Oh yeah. I'm gonna use this just for the build up. Yeah. I love that. Except the only thing that kind of sucks with especially these types of risers, as you can tell, there's a big volume change over time. Except I kind of want to hear that riser the whole time in the background. So I'm going to use some compression to help fix that for me. And we're going to pull up. What is this compressor? It's one of my favorite compressors. No, I'll go Blackie. This is modeled after the 1176 compressor, which is a classic, like, staple compressor in the hardware scene. To explain compression quickly, it is basically balancing out. Well, it takes your higher levels and kind of smushes them down to a lower level, so that for in this case, because we have such dynamic range with this riser, this sweep, I want it to be a little more consistent in the volume overall. So if I basically start pressing down the highest amount of amplitude that it hits, it's going to be at a more even level with the lower amplitude stuff, and it then makes the lower amplitude stuff sound louder. So it's kind of just balancing out how much dynamic range you want in a sound. Sometimes you can compress the living crap out of something. Sometimes something only needs a little bit of compression just to keep it a little more consistent. But in our case, we're going to do something really harsh to this. So check this out. So now I can basically hear that very beginning part. At a way lower level than how it's more audible. It's a lot louder than it used to be right there, which is great because I want to hear that. Like, I immediately want the riser to start kicking in to your ears so that you know like we're really building up to something. And I'm also feeling like it needs just a little bit more highs, and we could cut out some of that bass just to clean it up a little bit. Yeah. So I'm gonna rename this right now to the build riser, because that's what it is. And eventually we're going to also add in some different chords. We might start actually teasing the chords for the drop. I think that'd be cool, because that's another way again to subconsciously start leading the listener into what is coming up next. But let's just take an overall listen to what we have, and I think we're going to call it after this. But let's take a listen to all the progress that we've made.
Following the waves of your gold, but I don't wanna wait to hold you. Following the waves of your gold. Wanna wake up, 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 wanna wake up.
All right, I think we're on a pretty good track, pretty good start here. Obviously this song is still very much in its starting phase, but I think we have made a lot of great progress. I'm very proud of where this song is already headed. It's got a lot of potential. And it's just a lot of really cool stuff going on here that I hope you guys are enjoying. So anyways, with that is going to be episode 2 officially. Again, I apologize for yesterday. I can't believe that I messed up the stream yesterday. That was really stupid. But we're all good today. So that's what matters. Anywho, thank you guys for watching. Color, more feeling, more energy to it, more liveliness, whatever you want to call it. I'm just kind of spitting out synonyms at this point. But anyways, also if you're watching this after, that's great too. I enjoy anyone that takes the time to watch these. I hope that you guys also learned something or just saw something cool that you enjoyed through this, because I just love making music. As you can probably tell, it's my passion. I really don't care about the money or the views or any of that. Like, I'm doing this when even no one's watching this stream, but I'm still putting my heart and soul into this, because at the end of the day, I'm just here making music, and that's what I love to do. So anyways, thank you guys for watching, and thank you everyone who's watching this after the live stream and watching the recorded posted version. Still thank you guys for watching. You guys are awesome. But anyways, I will see you guys tomorrow. Later.